Hello everyone, welcome here. Today, we are going to play some Opus Magnum. Okay. Hair product. Alright. Apparently it's important to look good when going to battle. Alright. That's a relatively simple shape. We get one reagent to build this with. Okay. So I think we're going to want to start by building the basic shape. Let's see. Let's order both of those arms to grab. Both of them to swing. Both of them to release. Both of them to return. Okay. Now let's put one repeat order in for each. And that should get us let's see. That should get us our shape in place. And then so next we want to move that shape away. So at this point we want to grab and then rotate. I think. Okay. So we want to repeat this whole sequence twice. Okay, here. You want to grab, rotate, reset. And we want to repeat that whole sequence again. And that should give us two pieces that are extending out like radials off this arm. And then we move them into position. And then at this point, we want to grab, rotate, rotate, reset. And that should do the whole system. Okay. Let's do this a little more efficiently. That's pretty close to exactly what we want, but not quite. So we grab, rotate. And then we grab, rotate once. This is going to be significantly slower. Okay. That should be faster without running into anything. Okay, this can go back a couple lines. Hello, Colo. You are indeed the first, somehow. All right. Let's try this again. I think I could move all these one earlier, even. Yeah, I could. Okay. That's probably not the most efficient I could possibly get it. But that's fairly efficient. Yeah, it's definitely not the most efficient I could get it. But I'm happy with it. Got hit in the head by a turret. Proceeded to bleed out with torn off jaw and stuck in oil. Well, I'm glad you think that's fun. Alright, rocket repellent. Okay. Alright, we have 2 materials here. I think what I'm going to want to do here is we'll basically just bond together a chain. So grab, rotate, reset, repeat, repeat, and that'll give us a chain of 3. No, it won't, because it won't advance the next one. Let's use a rotary arm. With those same exact orders. Except, obviously. Oh. Yeah, no, rotary arm's never gonna work. We're gonna have to use 2 straight arms. Rotary arm won't work because it won't advance it in a straight line. That's basically the problem here. Okay, so these are once again gonna run in lockstep. Grab, grab. Rotate, rotate. And then reset, reset, repeat, and repeat. That should chain 3 of them together. Now off that chain, we then want to use the glyph of calcification to produce these elements here. Actually, we don't have to do anything that fancy. We can just straight up put glyphs of calcification like that. Run into that same problem. Same problem. Okay. I wish I had 2 more of these, or you know, like, yeah, 1 more of these, because then I could do this a really simple method of making this. Let's confirm if this is going to work to make the basic shape. Oh, I see what you mean by same problem. Yeah. Okay, you know what? Let's rethink this completely. We can do this very easily with the track. A track with 2 arms on it. Because what we want is a device to shuffle forward. And I'm probably just going to keep adding stuff to the track as we go. For shuffling purposes. Now, that still doesn't solve the problem of how we're going to get reagents top and bottom every other. I can use a longer arm. No, I need a short arm. I can use an arm and shuffle reagents left and right. But it would have to be behind this group. Which is not great. Okay, so arm number 4 would be grabbing and moving the whole assembly along. Here, I can move the track down out of the way and just use longer arms. That would give me a little bit of space I could use to tweak things. I'm not trying to go cheap here, I guess. Oh. Good night, Colo. If we use the multi-bonder here, then we can just have an arm right here. I don't think we're allowed to have 2 arms reach over top of each other like that, though. Let's find out. Let's find out. Okay, so 1 and 2. They want to have grab, advance, reset. Repeat twice. And then arm number 4. Arm number 5, we want it to grab. Okay, this arm is now set to arm number 3. Actually, I should probably have this around the other side. No, because we need another one up there. If this is going to work. No, we don't need another one up there. Wait. Let me think. Okay. This is like the dumbest possible solution. Okay, that arm can go away. Now. So arm number 3 grabs there. And then it rotates down, except it actually is going to need to do this first. But it can't. So this has got to be a piston arm. And it's got to vertically... Okay. So at this point... Here, you grab, you extend, you reset. And then somewhere in here, arm number 4 needs to grab honestly, I can do that right here. Grab, move along the track, and then swing. Okay, let's see how all this works. This was the wrong arm once again. Okay. Of course, it can't. We've got all the time in the world. We can swing around the other way. No, we can't because it'll hit the base of this arm then. Well, let's take care of this the dumbest possible way. I see. It's welding on at the wrong moment. I really wish we could lop lobes off the glyph of multi-bonding. That's the wrong shape for what we need here. Okay, you know what? We're not actually using this one at all. I can save myself a bunch of trouble if we use this glyph for the top piece. Okay. You grab... swing, return. Okay. And then at this point, it's arm 5's job to grab it and get it the hell out of there. Let's see if this works now. Okay. I don't think the period override actually does what I want it to. Let's find out. No, it doesn't. I'm not sure what that instruction is supposed to do anyway. Let's just tell those arms to knock it off. Yeah, that stops the whole machine, which is not what I want. I need a way to tell these arms to wait until a given point. Didn't I figure out the way to do this before? Not sure. No. Okay, what exactly is the conflict here? Let me look at this again. Yeah, right there they both grab. Because for some really annoying reason, these arms just immediately start repeating even when they shouldn't. So... let's try putting the period override there. Yeah, that works. Okay. That was definitely optimized for speed over everything else, but I could probably tweak it and get it a little bit faster. I think I'm good with that. Mist of incapacitation. Okay. Apparently we have to make 2 products. Alright. So we need... okay. This one is elemental air plus a quicksilver. And the other one is elemental air plus a tin. So we have to make tin. And we have to make the quicksilver. That shouldn't be too hard. Okay, let's set up this to make the first product part. Okay, arm 1, grab, swing, Arm 2, grab. Swing. Reset. Okay, then arm 1, wait a tick. And then continue swinging. And then reset. Okay. That's easy enough. Now, for the next section here, oh yeah, we only have one glyph of air, so this really has to be building over here on this side. Okay. So arm 5, you grab, you swing, and then you hold there. Meanwhile, arm 3, you grab, and then you retract, and then you reset. And then after you have finished with that sequence, at this point, arm 4, you will continue rotating. No, continue rotating. Alright, arm 1. I need you to be a piston. I thought I could upgrade them in place. Yeah, I can, okay. We need another welder here. Okay, you reset at that point. Arm 1. You regrab. You swing. Right, no, you don't swing. You extend. And then you reset. No. You extend one. Okay, arm 4. You should have already dropped your atom and returned then. So, arm 1. You extend. And then you extend again. And then you reset. And that should do it. Okay. We can simplify this a good bit. Arm 3 can have its meaning effectively reversed. And put over there to be shorter. And for that matter, it doesn't even need to be a piston. Actually, wait, it does need to be a piston because we can't swing it because it'll hit the base of arm 2 there. If we put it like right here and try to swing it, I think it'll smack into that base. Let's try it anyway, because it'd be a lot cheaper if we could. Oh, okay, that does work. So we can replace that with a much cheaper arm, or at least a little cheaper arm. Also, armor 3 isn't actually needed for this, because arm 2 can do the same thing. It'll probably slow it down a little bit. Wait a second. What is arm 2 doing here? It grabs, it swings, it releases. Why is it doing this twice? Yeah, there's no reason to have it do that twice. Unless we do it like that. Yeah, why'd we even ever have an arm 3 in the first place? Okay, yeah, that's good enough for me. Explosive file. Glyph of triplex bonding. Okay, creates 3 separate types of bonds between fire atoms that, when overlaid, become a triplex bond. Okay. Okay, this needs to be triple bonded to a basic. Alright. Now, we need to grab fire atoms. And then we need to triple bond them. Which should be straightforward. I believe. Let's go ahead and set up the triple bonding first. Okay, so 1, grab, rotate, and then just release. 2, grab, rotate, and then instead of releasing, pivot, and then pivot back, and then Release. Actually, I kind of want 2 to do the grab last. Okay, then 2 grabs it. Okay, 2 moves the first piece, 1 moves the second piece. They bond. We get the second bond, we rotate it back. Okay, then 2 grabs it, and it rotates it up, and that gets the third bond. And then 2 swings the whole thing over. And then from that point, let me think. Arm 3 can just go ahead and grab and rotate, and then just keep holding it. Okay. And then arm 3 can swing. Like that. And then arm 3 resets. Okay. I was kind of hoping that I could persuade arm 1 and 2 to start over a little earlier. Like, they could start assembling right now. I don't know. This game, I don't really understand sometimes why it decides to... It doesn't really make sense why it decides to sometimes start over faster and sometimes not. Sometimes it's just very weird about aggressively trying to restart an arms cycle, and other times it just kind of doesn't. But we succeeded. Armor filament. Some products repeat infinitely and must be constructed as a single chain. Okay. It's just infinite cycle of... go away. Iron, okay. So 2 quicksilvers on every lead. Should be easy enough. Alright, let's go ahead and set up a basic walking thing here. Now, okay, and then we wait a tick or two and then reset and repeat the whole thing over again. And meanwhile, arm 3 grabs, advances, releases, repeat. Okay. We need a third arm on the walking chain. Oh, I need a bonder. Derp. I don't think I actually need a third arm on the chain, I just need a bonder. Actually, I probably do need a third arm on the chain. Yeah, I do. I wonder if there's a way to run arm 4 faster. I don't think there is, because we actually have to let go of that. Because if I could just wave the Quicksilver over the thing, then that would be faster. But... we could possibly get it cheaper with a piston arm. No. We need at least 2. We could probably get rid of the second arm, though. But that'd make the whole thing slower. So no, I think we're good with this, actually. Courage potion. All right. Wow, this looks like it's just made for the multi-bonder here. Let's see. I think this might do what I want, but we'll have to see. Alright, first of all, arm 2 is going to be the first one to move. And then arm 3. Okay, now that we've renamed them, arm 1 is the first one to move, arm 2 and then arm 3. Arm 4 can move at pretty much any time during the middle of that. So arm 1 will grab, it will swing, and it will release. And then that's that. It's pretty much done for the cycle. Arm 2 will grab, it will swing, it will release. In the meantime, arm 3 will grab, it will extend, it will release. Let's make sure those don't interfere with each other. I really hate that this arm just decides to go do its own thing immediately. Okay, let's put in a return instruction. What is effectively a return instruction out here for all of these arms. That way they'll just hold. Okay. Now, arm 4, at pretty much any time, you can go ahead and grab, and then swing, and then you just wait. And once this one releases, you go ahead and continue swinging. Twice more. Those are, of course, the wrong rotate instructions. Because why wouldn't they be? Oh yeah, we can't swing past that. Why would we be able to do that? That's annoying. Okay. Now, we're going to do this in a very dumb way. Yeah. As I was saying, a very dumb way. Wait. Okay. Extend, release. Okay, then you retract. Everybody resets, basically. That gets removed. At this point, we don't actually need to do that. Okay, we let go here. So at this point, we then swing that arm like so. Wait. Yeah, we don't need those two extends anymore. Actually, we do need those extends. And then we need to re-grab. You let go, you re-grab. And then you swing. And then you reset. And we can probably move these back a little bit to save ourselves some time. Okay, now we can modify these a little bit so those get started over again faster. I would prefer if they started even earlier. I wish I could manually set the repeat for things. Like these arms could start moving out of the way while that one's still retracting. Actually, wait. If I make it so that arm 3 starts pre-extended, and then put 2 retract instructions at the start, then I can remove the reset and just put a drop there. It looks like it should be slower. But I'm pretty sure it's actually faster. No, it's exactly the same. Moving those around doesn't seem to affect anything. That does nothing either. Like, we could trim some time off this. If only it let me. Like, those could have started a couple of cycles earlier. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Power's been out for almost 2 hours now. Well, that's not fun. Yeah, I'm reasonably happy with that. All right. Surrender flare. Alright, let's make like the French. Glyph of on bonding eliminates the bond between two atoms. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Alright, we have to make a product that is basically the reagent we're given. With the addition of let's see. How many higher is that? We're taking an iron and turning it into a copper. So that's 1 higher. So we need to add a quicksilver. We basically need to tear this atom apart and add a quicksilver to it and reassemble it. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Because how are we going to do this? Well, the obvious solution is to grab it by the middle, swing it, and then spin it to unbond it while we grab the extra pieces off the outside. And then grab this centerpiece okay, that should work. Grab that centerpiece and upgrade it. And then rebond it somehow. Okay, so let's solve the issue of debonding it first and picking up the pieces. So, arm 1, grab, and then rotate, and then pivot a whole bunch. Meanwhile, arm 2, we're going to need to space these pivot instructions out. Arm 2, you are going to want to grab and rotate and release and grab and so on. A whole bunch. Okay. So I think we actually want to grab here. And then we need to rotate that this way. Exactly like this. Okay, then we want one last grab here in the end. Now, at this point, as soon as we finish rotating it for the last time, we want to let go. And then we want to rotate back at some later point. Now's where we need the third arm. With this arm, we want to grab it. Not release it, grab it right after it's been released by the first arm. And then we want to move it backward 2 steps and then hold. And then at this point, we want the fourth arm to grab, swing, and reset. We can't put the fourth arm there. Guess we're going to use a linear piece. Oh, we don't actually want to repeat. Okay. Now, that upgrades the first bit. And then after we're done upgrading the first bit, we want to continue to pull this back. And then we want to rotate it down, I believe. That should clear. And then we want to retract this a couple pieces. We need a rebonder. Let's see, where does this arm end up? It'll end up right over top of this tile. So I think we want to do like that. Then after we retract it back into place, we want to start pivoting. And at the same time, arm number 2 needs to start repeating its song and dance again. We don't actually need to grab that again. We just need to wait and then start doing repeats. Except, no, we want to repeat in reverse. So we want to drop, which it's already dropped. So no, we do want to grab. And then we want to rotate. And drop. Yeah, that's not gonna do what I want. Actually, if I put a halt there, maybe that'll work? No, it won't. If I put the halt there, maybe it'll work? Nope. Okay. So I want to rotate and drop, then wait a tick, and grab. And I think we're gonna have a problem here, but anyway. And then rotate and drop. Let's see if at least the basics work. Okay, you guys need to go. That needs to go out in some indeterminate point in the future. Arm 4. Your retraction order needs to go out in some indeterminate point in the future. And then okay, we load up the magazine. Yeah, we need to rotate this at the same time as we're pivoting so they don't hit each other. And then we drop it. Okay. We've got a bit of a problem immediately. I think that it's solvable by doing that. But then we're going to have to change the sequence a little bit. Namely, we need to pivot and then rotate. Let me think. We don't need the first rotate in yet. Like that. Yeah, that's the sequence. Okay. Yeah, we just can't reuse that again. Well, actually we can. Okay, reload the magazine up. Okay, that's good. Let's move those out into the future again. Alchemy has nothing to do with pizza survey. Let's go ahead and load it up. Okay, we need at least one more sequence. And then we need to swing this arm again. To there, I believe. And then reset. Wait, what? I see. Is there anything I can do about that? Without murdering my design? don't think so. Yeah. Well, actually there is something we can do about that. Maybe. No, because we have to... Let me watch this again. Okay, here we're getting to the problem. We rotate the last piece into place. Now... we can do that. We have to swing it out of the way. And then rotate it. And rotate you, and then swing it back. Which is a really dumb way to do it, but... looks like that fixed it. Alright, that is not particularly good at anything, but it worked. Is there any obvious stuff I could improve? Yeah, kinda. So where we could really improve this is if we disassembled at the same time as we were reassembling. To do that, we'd have to completely change the way that we were handling each molecule, though. And the way to do that would be basically to use a similar disassembly process to what we're using, and use a similar assembly process to what we're using, but feed the atoms between the two in a completely different manner. So I'm going to actually try to do a new solution, because this one's interesting. Okay, so first things first. I have those backwards. All right. We grab that, we swing it down here. Debonder. And then I think we're going to use a shuffle line, as I'm going to call it. That's going to be who knows how long. To just start shuffling those pieces over. And then we're going to do the same up here. Grab the iron atoms and move them over. Except this line's gonna be a lot longer. Between arms. Let me think. No, that's gonna be a problem. We need to do some other way to move the iron around. Alright, so one is going to grab. It's going to swing. And then it's going to have a whole shit ton of pivots. It doesn't really matter which direction we pivot, we just need to pivot. And then the rest of these arms are all going to be doing the same exact thing. They're going to grab, they're going to move, they're going to grab, they're going to move. I wish there was a way to link arms together. Grab, plus, reset, repeat. Okay. So we want to do the pivot during the plus part of it. Also, we're going to need more arms with these exact sequence of instructions to have this work. No, we don't. I'm going to do something really dumb here. We're going to shuffle arms onto this glyph of bonding. I think we only need 2 of these then, right? Yeah. And then we can have a whole chain of these going for however long we want, and then debond them and do whatever we want with them. Okay, that simplifies things a lot. Okay. We grab it, we rotate it into place. Let's see how this works. immediate conflict. Oh wait, I'm an idiot. I have a bonder instead of a debonder there. No wonder it wasn't working. Okay. Now, how long? Where do we finish the sequence here? Okay. We're actually done with the sequence right here. So that isn't needed. And I don't think that pivot. Okay, that pivot is required. Alright, now, after that pivot, we want to rotate the arm back at some indeterminate point in the future. But this iron arm is done TM. Now, we can reach over top of this with another arm, I think. Oops. Arm 4. Grabs on immediately after that. We have one more repeat sequence here. Keep shuffling that way. Okay. Now, we're going to need to have a disassembly arm here, who's going to grab the other end of the chain and feed it onto this. Now, here, arm 6, grab, rotate, release, rotate back out at some indeterminate time when it's out of the way. Okay, arm 5, grab, move forward a whole bunch. Okay, now we need a rebonder. Okay, so this moves the iron, holds it over top of this for a bit. Holds it over top of that for a bit. And then moves 2 more. Okay, I think the simple act of moving over top of that will be enough. So we don't even need a pause. Just gotta put a pause in there to be a mental break, I guess. A little mark that this is where we have a pause. And I should be able to condense this some more. Okay. We need one more space. To hold the result. And then you, after your last rotation, you let go. All right. Boom, it upgrades. Okay, we need to go forward 2 more. And then at some indeterminate point in the future, we need to go forward 2 more. And then reset. Now, we're going to need to have a whole sequence of starting the breaking apart again. That happens starting right about there. We need to start breaking it apart again because we need to start feeding more pieces in. Okay. So at this point, Arm 4 needs to advance. Okay, Arm 4 needs to grab, advance, reset right there. And at that point, we also need to start repeating this sequence with the earlier arms. And Arm 1 needs to swing back. Well, Arm 1 needs to repeat its whole previous sequence. And then we need to have the rest of these arms repeat their sequence again. So I think if we just remove that, so the problem is I need the period to be exactly a certain length for these. And I can't do that without fiddling with the rest of these arms in ways that are honestly unacceptable. Unless instead of using... Okay, what I need to do to make this work that way is have multiple arms to shuffle the iron along. Because the problem is the period here gets too large. So I need to split this in like half or something. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, what are we doing here? Boom. All right. And then arm 4. Which one's that again? It's you. Okay. Arm 4 basically needs to be those time instructions except time shifted. Although, honestly, there's nothing wrong with having Arm 4's instructions just pantomime without actually doing anything right along with these. Because we're trying to fit all this into the same period, remember? So that it's done in parallel. So the first time through, Arm 4 will do nothing, but it'll act out the... Now they just said power won't be on until 11 p.m. Are you supposed to finish cooking and eat dinner? I guess you'll just have to be hungry until then. That kinda sucks. Okay, let's see. This is Arm 5, that one. So Arm 5. Arm 5 needs to... Okay. You need to reset, not drop. Now, Arm 4 doesn't need to do anything, you just need to feed in. Arm 7 is basically a duplicate of Arm 1 with minor differences. So it needs to grab. Okay, Arm 5 needs to be time shifted back this way. That's going to conflict. Yeah, okay. So all of these need to be time shifted forward slightly to deconflict with Arm 5. That's fine. Okay, they all need to be time shifted forward one more tile. Now, Arm 6 is that one, okay. That's fine. Now, Arm 7 needs to be basically in sync with Arm 1, I believe. No, it needs to be in sync with Arm 4. And then arm 2 and 3 need to be time shifted earlier. Maybe? Okay, arm 7 and arm 4 are basically working together. So let's make them arm 4 and arm 5. Now, grab, pivot, 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 pivot. Swing and reset. The exact sequencing of what is now arm 6 is an issue. Yeah. Because we need to get that iron atom over here faster. More like immediately. Otherwise, this whole system gunks up with too much crap. So if we had a starting iron atom, this would work great. Well, it wouldn't yet. There's still some sequencing issues. Basically, we need to have arm 6 complete its journey before anyone else starts. And arm 7 needs to run earlier in that sequence as well. Okay, we need to artificially extend the length of the period until there, but I think that's going to result in issues, maybe? Let's try. Why is it grabbing it? I see what the problem is. I think. Let's just make the whole thing arbitrarily longer. We can shorten it later. Okay. Getting closer. I don't think it's going to be any shorter, though, because of how long it takes the iron atom to get over there. Like, the basic idea of having it be assembling and disassembling in parallel is good. But I think the idea of using the tape to hold atoms instead of using a rotary magazine is a bad idea. The rotary magazine idea just straight up worked better. I just need to start reloading the rotary magazine in parallel, I think. So if we go ahead and take a copy of this one. Let's see, I remember how this worked. Okay, right at this point, arm number 1 should start over again. Basically. So what we need to do is we need to free up arm number 4. So it's not the one handling the copper atom between here and here and doing the reassembly. So we need to have another arm. Actually, I do want arm number 4 to be handling that, because otherwise I am going to want to go insane. Okay. Arm number 5 handles the process of moving the atom over to here. Arm number 4 will handle the process of moving it from there to who knows where, down to here, and then starting the reassembly process. So it's going to want to move that way. And then that way. I think. Arm number 4 is now arm number 5. Okay, arm number 4. You will grab when after arm number 3 has completed its evolution. Also, arm 2 could be a swinging arm right there, I think. We'll worry about that later. Arm number 4. You grab. You advance 2, and then reset. So I'll drop it there. At that point, arm number 5 grabs it, starts its sequence. And arm number 3 continues its sequence. Alright, let's see how badly this works now. This is assuredly broken, by the way. Okay. So we need to start arm number 3 moving again sooner. Somehow. That or start arm number 5 later in the sequence. Okay, we can shorten arm number 5's instructions. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, so it's sitting down here, holding that. And then we rotate, we rotate, we rotate. While arm number 3 is eventually, hopefully, going to be feeding it. We shouldn't have the interference we had earlier that caused us to do this rotate away bullshit. So we can remove all that. Let's see how this works now. Okay, arm number 3 needs to start moving at this point. The problem is it can't. If we increase the period, yeah, okay. So arm number 3 is going to interfere with arm number 1. We could... This is a terrible idea. We could put a triangle track in here with 3 fixed arms on it. So we have 1 loading, 1 unloading, and 1 waiting just to keep the system balanced. Because it's going to have to run a circle. That's just stupid enough that it might actually work. And then these 3 arms would all be identical. Okay. And then after they finish loading their magazine, they advance 3 spaces. And repeat. Okay. Now, let me think. Arm number 1 grabs, rotates into position. We start disassembling. Grab, rotate, and then we do the old magazine loading sequence. Arm number 2 shouldn't start until that's well rotated. Okay, you know, it would help if we picked the pieces up before we started moving. There we go. Think that'll work. Okay, we need to put a couple more advanced instructions in there. To actually get them to where they're supposed to go. But at least they don't run into each other anymore. Wait, was there one too many? Okay, we are reaching something that approximates correctness, or at least the magazine loading and moving to the next step. Now, Arm 6. Are you moving at the correct time? And are you not going to interfere with the next? Okay, it looks like Arm 6 is moving at the right time. Now, Arm 7. You grab the newly formed metal. and proceed down with it. And then it's going to hold the metal right over top of here, which I don't think is correct. I want it to be held right over top of there, I think. So that means you need to go one farther south, which we should have the timing to do. Then yeah, then we just rotate out of the way each time. Let's go ahead and run this thing. Okay, we need slightly different timings. Also, why is arm 5 not... grabbing? Okay, let's look at what's going on here. Okay, arm 5. Oh, I see. We don't let go at the end here. I think that makes a difference. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we have the problem of arm 3 and arm 7 are interfering with each other. Which, fine. We need to figure that out anyway. Arm 3. Arm 7. I think what we actually need to do is we need to greatly shorten arm 7's sequence and have it leave the piece laying somewhere where we can easily grab it. So I think what we need to do with arm 7 is we need to have it just handle this bit. And then we need to have a different arm handle the mechanics of grabbing the iron and passing it on to 7. Okay, this does not need to be a piston arm then. Alright, arm 8. You. Early in the sequence, grab. Move positive 1. Swing twice. And reset. Now, arm 7 is no longer on track. Arm 7. You. Need to grab. And then swing once. And I think that's still a little tiny bit too slow. Yeah. Because we're trying to move it with arm 3 at the same moment. Let me check something here quick. Okay, magazine's loaded. Yeah, okay. Arm 7 needs to be faster somehow. And I think we can do that by simply moving it forward. Let's put that there to indicate that that's a resting point for Natum. Okay, that might work just like that. And unfortunately, we're too slow. Because arm 7 needs to be just a little tiny bit slower before it sets out. So I think what I need to do is actually increase the period artificially by a couple ticks. And that'll give arm 8 a little bit more time to start moving. Oh, oops, I missed one. Okay, arm 8 is still one tick too slow. If I make everything one tick slower, that might do it. Nope. Okay, arm H. Let's move all this stuff one tick later. That should work. Let's do it again, one tick later. I don't think I need to make it longer. That looks like it might have been correct. Yeah, there we go. Okay, the problem of course is that arm 7 is now trying to move at the same time as arm 3. Which I believe means that the sequencing is slightly off. It needs to be one tick farther forward. Which I believe means that I can move all of this one tick farther back. And I'm probably going to regret doing this immediately, but... No, that looks correct, okay. Are they not letting go in time? Let's step through this. Okay, arm 7 grabs, swings. When is arm 4 closing? Okay, it's closing right when arm 7 swings. Which makes sense. Arm 7 needs to be later? No. Yes. Because no, it needs to be earlier. Like that much earlier. Which means the whole sequence needs to be moved 2 ticks later. I think. Make that 3 ticks later. Arm 8 did not grab. Okay, what? Arm 6 did not move at the right time, apparently. Yeah. We need 1 more ticket delay. I think. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Almost. Why is arm 3 binding up in the middle of the process? What step? Okay, so at this point, arm 7 is holding a notional copper atom. It rotates once. Arm 4 closes, rotates, opens. Arm 4 closes 1 tick early. I see. Yeah, there's a weird delay here. Wait, what? Why is this one 3 ticks and the rest of these are all 2? That's dumb. I don't think it should be that way at all. Okay. Okay, so the ending sequence breaks, but that's fine. That just means we need to move this earlier. Which is fine, we can do that. And we can probably remove extra delay. Some of it. We'll have to experiment. Let's just straight up remove all the extra delay and see what happens. Spoiler, it's probably just going to break, but... yeah. There's a giant fight in the middle there. at that point. Okay. So the problem is Arm 8 is moving too soon. We need that extra delay. We need at least one more tick of extra delay. We need at least one more tick of extra delay. We need at least one more tick of extra delay. There we go. Okay, Arm 7 needs to delay a little bit longer. To there, I think. Okay. And then Arm 3 through 5 needs to wait a tick before regrabbing. Thankfully, we've got plenty of delay to work with then. Hell yeah. Now we could probably make this faster by making the handling of the metal atom in the middle smoother. Almost certainly. Like, this is definitely not a very fast solution. But it is significantly faster than our previous solution. I think I could get rid of Arm 6 and replace it with just Arm 8. And since those two are completely linked as far as their delay. Okay, Arm 6, you can go. All right. Arm 7, or what is now Arm 7. You must grab, move forward 2, then swing twice. Okay. It no longer meets up with the old Arm 7. What is now Arm 6. So if we reduce the length of that arm, have this move one less. No, that's going to immediately conflict. That should work. Is there a better way to handle this? Yes, make this a piston arm. Move one. Retract, swing, swing. Release. Okay. And actually it's got to extend again then. Well, is that any better actually? Not really. Extend, extend, swing, swing, retract, drop. And then we have the problem of arm 2 not reacting fast enough. Arm 2 needs to drop about there. Except it needs more start delay. So there. Okay, we're one tick short. I can give it one tick more delay. And then, okay, how about one tick less delay actually? And then we move everything out one tick. Two ticks, I think actually. Okay. Arm 2 is a little bit too slow to move now. That fixes that. Okay, you moved up by one. Okay, that simplifies the design a little bit. but it is slightly slower now. Area is better. Cost is better, but it is slightly slower. Now, is there a better way to handle? Well, yes, there is. For one thing, ARM 6 does not actually need to have that instruction in there. Well, yes, it does. Because if we have that, yeah, okay, this is a little better already. Or it would be if we didn't have that error. We need to swing earlier. That's all. Okay, ARM 7 can move a little earlier. And I think that would get us... Okay, but the only way to get ARM 7 to move earlier would be to make the rest of them move later. Let me think. What if we reduce the artificial delay? That would make ARM 7 move earlier, I think. Yeah, it would. Okay. But it's a little bit too early, so we need one more ticket delay. We're interfering with a different thing than what we were interfering with before, so that's good news, though. Okay, we need one more ticket delay. I think this will run faster, and if not, it won't be any slower at least. Also, ARM 2 can be replaced with a swinging arm. We don't need a piston. So that's the next change we're going to make. Okay, it's exactly the same speed as it was. Wait. I wasn't actually ready to end. Okay, ARM 2. I'm going to replace you with a swinging arm. Okay. That works. I think that's a little bit cheaper than what the piston arm was, even though it's a long arm. Yeah. Why did I have arms 3, 4, and 5 move in a star shape instead of a triangle again? There was some conflict they had when they moved in a triangle. I don't remember what it was. And I wonder if it isn't obsolete now. Let's find out. Because the only thing we're going to have to change is this track construction at the end. Because the track will be shorter. Okay, 1, 2, 3 instead of 4. Should be correct. Okay, that was the problem. They collide when they go past each other right there. All right. So we can't reduce that. Yeah, I can't make this go any faster without somehow making ARM 7 faster. And the problem is, due to the whole placement of that, I can't make it. What I could do is move atom disassembly over to where ARM 7 currently is, so it has less distance to go. So, if we just pull ARM 7 and its stuff, ARM 2 and its stuff, all that out of the way for now. And then we move atom disassembly to here. Okay. That's not going to help. We have to have this up here. But that will help, because now we can do something like this, where ARM 7 is a stubby arm here. That just spins it in a circle effectively. Except ARM 1 is going to collide with that 1,000,000%. Unless no, that's got to be right there, I think. Okay. No, we can't swing that direction. Okay. Let's make sure we haven't broke magazine reloading. And that we haven't broken reassembly. Okay. So reassembly and magazine reloading are still good. Now, what we need to do is we need to get the iron atom from here to here, or to here. Either one would be good. And of course we need to get it drug over top of this thing at some point. So, what we could do is not that. We can't go there because it's going to get hit by the magazines when they go by. We can't go here because it's going to get swung over by one. We can't go there because it's going to get swung over by one. This is just a really shitty location for it. If we put this here, and then you go over there somewhere, one goes here, you go there, that ends up with the atom there, and then we're once again in a really shitty position as far as moving that. We could do something like this to get it shifted into position. That wouldn't shift it far enough though. However, if we put this here, I think that would work. So then we end up with an iron atom right here that we can't easily grab. However, it's like 6 can dump that on there, no problem. Okay, 6 does not need the initial rotate. It just grabs and pivots before rotating down, releasing, or just resetting, rather. Okay, 7 is doing wildly the wrong thing, but that's fine. We can fix that now. So 7 should grab at the beginning and move forward 3 times. Actually, wait, that might be correct. Now. And then reset. Oh, it can only move forward twice. That's why. There's not enough space to move forward 3. But it does drop it off there. So Arm 7 could replace Arm 1 at this point. Or rather, Arm 1 could replace Arm 7. I think that would collide, actually. That shouldn't collide. Okay. Now. Get rid of Arm 7. Arm 1 grabs Arm 1 grabs, rotates back 1, releases, rotates back 1, and then starts its sequence. Arm 2 does the same thing. Except obviously Arm 2 needs to be much later in the sequence. Because it can't do it during the first cycle. Okay, now all of this stuff can be moved tighter for now. We still have the problem of how we get the iron atom into position. Actually, wait a second. Let's change Arm 1's starting position to there. Okay, so it grabs, swings down, disassembles. Then Arm 2 grabs, shift into position. Arm 1 grabs, shifts into position, drops. Okay. We can't have that reset there. Obviously. And we don't need this grab here, because we're already holding it. Okay, now something needs to grab this and move it down there. Somehow. It doesn't really matter how. It just needs to get it there. And unfortunately, that's a really awkward move to make. Could I move arm 2 and have it do it? Maybe. But probably not. I don't know if arm 2 will be able to swing past that. I don't think it will. So I might have to use a piston arm in the place of 2. But we can't do that either. So if we do this, and arm 2 grabs and swings twice. I don't think that's gonna work. Hello, Treebeard. Oh, of course, it's gonna clobber this immediately. But if we move it down, then it's out of the way. And then we can move arm 7 up at any later point. Okay, arm 2 can make that move. Alright. And then arm 7, you need to do a minus move pretty much anywhere. Let's do it there. And then when arm 2, no, when arm 1 releases, that's when you need to grab. Move positive. Swing twice. And return. All right, let's try this. Damn it. Okay, now arm 1 is conflicting with this magazine here. Actually, we can do this just fine. We just need to move arm 1 around the other way at the start. Okay, so we grab it, we move down 1, we rotate, 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 and then we grab the iron, we swing twice to get over to here. Okay, no, we're sitting right here. We grab the iron. we're back to having problems again. Because then we swing to here. No, that's good. We can make that move. Okay, we swing twice instead of the once we swing currently. Can we put that rotate instruction there, or are we gonna have problems? Yeah, we're gonna have trouble. This gotta go one step later. No. It's gotta go multiple steps later. Finally got your power back? Oh, a little bit early then. Not much. Okay, now the rest of this is all thrown out of whack. Okay, so we rotate down twice. We release. Oops. And then we reset. There we go. Okay, we could move arm one tick earlier, I think. Yes, we could. Okay. But arm 7 needs to move one tick lower. Okay, and arm 7 needs to also not move back quite so soon. It's probably going to still conflict. We'll likely need to move it ahead some more. Here, actually, this needs to go much sooner in the sequence. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, is this going to be any faster? It should be cheaper. It should be smaller. But I'm trying to be faster, not cheaper and smaller. I'm trying to remove artificial delay is what I'm trying to do. It was one tick faster. And it was cheaper and it was smaller. Okay. I don't have any artificial delay left, do I? No, I don't. So the only way I could make this even faster would be improving it even more, or like improving the layout, or just shortening up the instruction sequences. And it looks like I can actually do that. If I move these all back by one tick, that might gain us another tick, and it might conflict. We'll find out. Oh, it looks good. So that should save us a tick overall. Per cycle. Okay, so that was 7 ticks faster. Are there any other obvious gaps that I can tighten up? If I move those two up 1, is that going to break anything? I don't think so. I think it'll just purely make things faster. So that should be another tick per cycle. Because I think arm 1 is still the longest period. Yep, that was another tick per cycle. We're slowly crawling toward faster. Also, it's 10:56, so I really need to wrap this up. But also, I don't want to stop tweaking this machine because it's interesting. I just really like this really stupid magazine design here. I could maybe come up with a diamond shape that swapped between 2 magazines in less time. Something like that. No, they need to be 1 tile farther apart. So... that might work. We could also cut the point off, I think. Would we have room for that? I don't think so, because it would conflict with arm 7. But otherwise, that would probably almost work. We would have the time to be able to move those arms. If we kept arm 7 out of the way. Let's try it. We'll just leave arm 4 on there, or arm 5 on there for now, just keep it out of the way. We need to go at least 1 tile farther, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yep. And then let's watch how this breaks. Okay. I honestly did not see that particular conflict coming. I think we could move those closer together. Oops. No. Because they need to pass each other while loaded. No, they don't. Because they'll always be coming back. Yeah, no, they'll always be coming back unloaded. Oops. It's not what I wanted to do at all. Move you out of the way. Move you into the way. Arm 3, arm 4. Okay, that works. They're now 1 tile too long, but that's easily fixable. Okay, that eliminates arm 5 and gets the shorter track. This is an interesting design I think I'm going to have to use more later. The swapping magazine idea. Anytime where we have something like this or we need to store a bunch of atoms and then reassemble them, we can use a similar design to this. Okay. Did that actually save us any time, though? Not really. It just saved us space and cost. I think we could remove at least a couple more ticks out of this. Yeah, area's better. Cost is a lot better. However, I think we'll leave it at that for now. All right. And one more bit of story. It looks like tomorrow we'll have a new chapter to start with. Despite my massive procrastination, we did actually manage to finish a chapter today. That last puzzle was quite a lot of fun. Yeah. I kind of like that game. I think I already said that last time I played it, but yeah. Tomorrow, more Opus Magnum, I believe is the plan. Thursday will be some Zoo Tycoon 1. And then Friday will be some EDF. And Saturday and Sunday will be more Timberborn. I have some ideas of what kind of end goal I want to go for, and now that we're well out of the actual dangerous part of the game where we could possibly lose, it's time to start pushing hard for the end. It'll take a while, though, because I'm feeling ambitious. Yeah. But anyway. And then, of course, Monday will be some good old Crab Champions. And unless I somehow manage to finish the entire game tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday, more Opus Magnum. I have actually been updating the weekend game roster in the Discord the last few days. Oh, there goes the shrimp plate. That's a sure sign that I've gone too long. Anyway. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get a chance to pull any of those off the pile for a little while. We have too many things going right now. Oh well. I need to add more days to the week so I have more opportunity to schedule more games in. Actually, that would suck because then it would take too long between getting back to each game. Oh well. They need more hours a day so I can spend more time playing games. That's not going to happen either. Hopefully, I see you all back here tomorrow for some good old Opus Magnum. And I will see you all later. Good night and goodbye.